Hello everybody, welcome to the channel Lightworkers Together. This is Val. I hope you all are doing well. I just got back. This is my day off work today, and I just got back from getting the oil change done on my car. And I thought this would be a good time to hop on real quick and do a super short video that I've been promising to do. I'm going to be getting into talking more about our extraterrestrial friends. There's a beautiful black crow. I don't know if you all can see him over here. Can you see him? I've been watching him. I'm going to be talking more about the ETs and the ET experiences. And I've had quite a few in my lifetime from the time I was a little girl. And I know there's several of you that have mentioned you have had some of your own experiences that you would love to share on the channel. So I do want to start by saying that this channel is a safe space for everybody. So please, in the comments, as always, be respectful and kind and compassionate to one another. Respect everybody's opinion and be respectful of their stories. I will say that since this is kind of a new area that I'm launching into, I'm hopeful that we will be able to maintain that beautiful, loving, safe area for folks to share their information. So with that being said, I'm sorry this is not much of a view. This is not much of a view. I went over to the park right after I left getting my oil change, but it's like really, really crowded. It's like 38 degrees and sunny. This is our first beautiful sunny day in a few days. So I decided not to walk around the park because there would just be too many interruptions, too many folks there. So we're back in the car, guys. Sorry. But I'll keep this short. So I thought the best way to start this, to kick this off, is to just say a couple of things. Now, I know there are some people who either do not believe in extraterrestrials, and I respect everybody's opinion, by the way. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. Nobody's opinion overrides anyone else's. We all have our own truth and our own experiences and our own opinions, and I respect that. And there's someone in particular, some of you may know of him. His name is Dr. Stephen Greer, and he has done such a mammoth amount of work on trying to bring disclosure forward. And I'm talking over, 20, 30, 40 years or something, just absolutely crazy. He's a medical doctor who's devoted his life to this situation because of his direct experiences that he had. Now, his outlook on things with the extraterrestrials is really that like they're all positive, it's all good, they don't wish us any harm. My feelings on it are a little bit differently. I respect his, and I feel like all the experiences he has had are positive, and that is where he's coming from with that. But my feeling is, Source God, creator of everything that exists, created many, many, many life forms, and created life forms that created other life forms. So we are all, whether you're human or what you are, we all are individuals in that way. We are all part of the greater whole, right? Of one, but we are also individuals. And so folks get to choose. So when you hear things being batted around about, this group, they're all bad or whatever, I don't prescribe to that way of thinking, because I will always believe that everyone can choose. You can choose what path you take. As humans, we choose. Do we want a positive path or a negative path? Do we choose a lighter path or a darker path, right? So I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost, and that this is my feeling and my experience of things, is that, ETs are no different from us in that respect, and that you have some that are living a more negative story and some that are living a more positive story. I think there are some that are so highly evolved, okay, that they're just completely light. You know what I'm saying? But there are many of us living these denser stories, and so we do have the duality of the light and dark, and sometimes the dark tends to take over for some folks. But everybody will eventually get back to the light. I mean, that is the plus and the highlight of everything is we're all, I've heard this expression several times and I absolutely love it. We're all walking each other home. So we're all working our way back, okay? We're all working our way back home, basically. There's a lot of lessons. There's a lot of things. There's things going on, just like with, you know, the planet Earth. You can look around now, and it's more than obvious to pretty much anybody that, you know, our way of life here was hijacked some time ago, and things have not been on a positive note. But the truth is, things are not as bad as they appear in some instances. That is something that is being pushed forward to keep people in a very sort of depressed, hopeless state. There is a lot of positive things that are going on. They're just not shown, but we tend to see them in our everyday life when we're walking around. So I thought it would be good to start this kind of series that I'm going to be doing about ETs, extraterrestrials, and like any, and please feel free in the comments to share like any experiences you've had, whether it's just you saw, you know, a blip or something flying in the sky, or you actually had interaction with extraterrestrials or telepathic communications or anything, you know. I'm excited to hear about your experiences. So I'm going to start. A lot of folks have in common, one of the first things they have happen, especially when they're talking about ET abductions and things like that, is loss of time. So a lot of you may have experienced the loss of time syndrome. And that's where I'm going to start, which is really the beginning of my story. So for a lot of the things that happen with many of us who have encounters of any kind, a lot of times it'll happen when you're by yourself. So there's no one to back up your story. In my case, my initial situation that happened involved my entire family. I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and it was my 2 brothers, one younger, one older, and my mom and dad. And we were, and I'm going to try and make this as short as possible, but it's important to note, and I will tell you at the end of this, kind of how things went on from here. And I feel like some of you may have similar experiences to share. But anyway, we're going to start here because loss of time is a big one for a lot of people, or some other changes to time. And as I continue this series, if folks are interested in hearing more about it and about some of my other encounters and things that happened, you're going to see there's some continuity to things that are happening. So anyway, let's go back. Now, this is some time ago, folks. This is a way back. I was a little girl. Me and my brothers, we were very, very young, and we were on a car trip. And I will tell you, this is before there were cell phones, okay? So this might give you an idea of the time frame. It was a while ago. So we had lived in Maryland, and we were taking a car trip to Florida to visit my grandma and grandpa, who lived in Melbourne, Florida at the time. And they had got special passes because they lived in Florida at the time. And my grandpa was ex-military. So they got these free passes for us to go to Disney World, which we were very excited about because this was not something we would have been able to do probably otherwise. So anyway, we're on this car trip and we're driving, you know, and it takes a while. It was like a 2-day drive, I think, to get from Maryland to Melbourne. I'm not exactly sure, but we had passed what was called south of the border, and we were driving and we were into Florida. And I remember all the palm trees lining the sides of the roads, which was just a super cool thing for me to see as a little girl, because where I lived, there just were no palm trees. So it was like this whole other cool world. Anyway, this was early afternoon, like middle of the afternoon, and this was summertime, folks, okay? So, you know, in the summertime, you have more sunlight, right? It doesn't really start to get dark until like 8 or 9 o'clock or something, generally speaking. So we had stopped, we were in Florida. We stopped at a gas station to gas up, and my dad went to the payphone to call his mom and dad and let them know we were less than an hour out. Now, where we were at was a straight shot. So it's a very, very, any of you that are familiar with Florida here in the United States, you can get on some of those roads and they're just flat and straight and they go for 1,000,000 miles. So it was a straight shot, guys, okay? We were going to come out of the gas station, pull onto the main road, and we'd be there in less than an hour. A straight shot, no need to turn off until we got to the trailer park where my grandma and grandpa lived. So we all pile back into the station wagon, and we're driving, and the next thing any of us remember is it's dark, like the sun going down. Not pitch like it had been dark for a while, but dark like definitely the sun had just gone down. And my grandma was standing out in the yard, like, I want to say scared, worried. I was a little girl, but there was a lot of talking and a lot of worry. And apparently, somehow we lost over 5 hours on a straight road where we only need to make one turn to get to the trailer park. We lost over 5 hours. And it was really bizarre. Nobody could explain it. I guess my grandma thought we were in an accident somewhere or something horrific had happened. And again, back in those days, no cell phone, so no way to contact us, no way to find out, what was going on. She was just terrified. And she was standing out in the yard looking. And here we pull up and we're all fine. And we're like, and then it dawned on all of us that, like, why is it nighttime? What's happened? And the adults, as little kids, we kind of really didn't understand what was going on, me and my brothers. But the grown-ups were freaking out a little bit. But it was something that happened after that I really noticed, is that whenever there is an incident, right, or a situation or something that happens and you cannot apply logic to it, there's no possible explanation for it, people just kind of like get upset about it at first, and then they quickly like put it away, shove it away, and it's like they really don't want to look at it, right, or talk about it again. I don't know if it's just scary, right, because they don't have an answer. But it was one of those things where, and my mom was just this very, straightforward, candid, she would just no nonsense kind of person. So I remember just being kind of surprised that she wasn't more like, what the heck's going on with this? Now, what's funny is, like, my dad said, and I'm bringing this up too, because like my family who is still living, most of them got together at Thanksgiving, and oddly enough, this story came up. And my older brother who has a scary memory of this, he can remember dates, you guys, times and everything like a computer. He's been like that all his life. So he was talking about it, because what's nice is when you experience something, and especially if years pass, sometimes you're like, okay, well, my memory of this may not be as sharp, it may not be as clear, I may be adding something in or leaving something out. But what was pretty amazing is we were all sitting around and our memory of it was exactly the same, except for one thing. My father said when we all got back in the car and he was driving, he felt like there was a big dark cloud, like a big dark storm cloud or something that suddenly came up. Oh, look, there's another big, beautiful crow, guys. And he said there was this big, and I don't remember that. Like, none of the rest of us remembered any of that. But he said he saw that, or he remembered it somehow. And then he said it was literally like just waking up, because he was driving the car. My mother didn't drive. She didn't have a driver's license back in those days. He was driving the car, and he said it was literally like just waking up, sort of. And there he was driving, and he was turning into the trailer park where his mom and dad lived. So it was kind of interesting, that piece that he remembered, whether it was like a suppressed memory that came back or something, because I never remembered at the time him talking about that. It was only just, we were gone for 5 hours and no one could explain where. It was like everybody went to sleep and just woke up, and he was driving the car, and there we were. And no one could ever explain anything. So that definitely was like a major loss of time, I would say. And again, it's kind of nice in a situation like that there are others literally involved in it, so that it's not you kind of second guessing yourself and be like, did this really happen? Because I think that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people have some sort of interaction with ETs, and they might just kind of brush it off later and be like, that didn't really happen, or I'm not remembering it right, or something like that. So when there are others involved, and I have several situations where there was more than just me involved, which kind of helps. It helps with me to be like, okay, I'm not imagining any of this, but I didn't think I did. I just found it very interesting that, and even to this day, I kind of see it happen, but it's not as prevalent. People do tend to want to like analyze and talk about things and try and figure them out more. Back in the day, people would just sweep it under the rug and be like, this is just a little too weird, and we're not going to look at it again. So I'm kicking this off with, that's my first experience, and I'm sure there are others who have had loss of time experiences, whether you were by yourself in this situation, or you were with family or friends or loved ones, or whatever your situation happens to be. So, if you have any situations, and it doesn't just have to be loss of time, it can be anything, please feel free to share those in the comment. I would love to hear about them. And if everybody's interested in hearing more about this, I do have quite a few other stories, and things kind of like evolve as my life has gone on, and the contacts have been different. Some of them very different, and some of them very like in your face type of stuff, but I'm not going to launch into all that. I'm just going to start this with this one, because I feel like it's good to start at the beginning and to kind of share what I experienced. And I do know that loss of time is just, it's something definitely that was way more prevalent even years ago. People had a lot of incidences of loss of time and things that they just could not explain. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope this was helpful or interesting or whatever. I think it would be fun to get, a conversation going here in the community with everybody and see what everybody's story is. And if anybody has any similar stories about loss of time, I would love to hear them. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Please take care, stay safe. I wish you all well, and I'm sending you love, peace, and unity. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.